An inspector calls Grade 9 essay. How does Priestley present the character of Mrs. Birling? In the stage directions, Sybil Birling is described as a rather cold woman. Indeed, throughout the play, Mrs. Birling comes across as a very arrogant and ruthless person, and there is nothing endearing about her. In the first act, the audience witness Arthur Birling, the hard-headed businessman, being intimidated by his supercilious wife because she is his social superior. Mrs. Birling reprimands her husband for complimenting the maid because he is not supposed to say such things. This reveals how controlling she is and assumes that working-class people do not deserve praise. Mrs. Birling lacks any warmth towards her own children. She scolds her daughter for using the colloquial expression "squiffy" when talking about Eric, yet does not notice or turns a blind eye to his excessive drinking. Mrs. Birling's haughty attitude and icy personality can be seen by the way she responds to Inspector Gould. She states his questioning is impertinent and offensive. Mrs. Birling deliberately mentions that her husband was Lord Mayor and that he still is a magistrate, as she thinks she can use her social status to intimidate the inspector. This, however, does not work, and she is interrogated by him. Mrs. Birling is appalled that her daughter should have to listen to the disgusting affair that Gerald confesses to, but shows no remorse or sympathy towards Eva Smith and her plight. She refers to her in a derogatory way as "girls of that class," meaning that no unmarried wealthy woman would ever get pregnant and kill herself. Sybil Birling fallaciously presupposes that she is morally superior because of her privileged social status. Many of Mrs. Birling's firmly held views and opinions are shattered to smithereens during the play, but she still does not change. When Mrs. Birling discovers a respected alderman is a notorious womanizer, she simply says, "I must say, we are learning something tonight." Mrs. Birling's hypocrisy can be detected when she proudly states that the charity she works for has done a great deal of useful work in helping deserving cases. It is the same charity that turns the destitute and desperate Eva Smith away. Mrs. Birling refuses to accept warning signs because of her downright stubbornness. She categorically declares to the inspector, "You have no power to make me change my mind." Sheila repeatedly warns her mother, but Mrs. Birling does not listen and states that Eva Smith had only herself to blame. She is totally indifferent to the fact that not only her, but also her entire family are involved in the death of Eva Smith. The audience is aware that Eva Smith died painfully, but Mrs. Birling's ruthlessness and complete lack of guilt is evident when she states, "I did nothing I'm ashamed of or that won't bear investigation." Mrs. Birling removes herself from any wrongdoings, and the audience finds her contemptuous attitude thoroughly disdainful. She places all the blame and responsibility on the father of the child because the girl's death is due to him. Mrs. Birling's ignorance is revealed when she discovers that Eric is the culprit and says, "I don't believe it, I won't believe it," which reveals that she is living in denial. When Mrs. Birling discovers the inspector was a hoax, she quickly disguises her feelings and behaves as if nothing had happened. She jokingly states, "I couldn't imagine a real police inspector talking like that to us." It is clear that Mrs. Birling has learnt nothing. She boasts that "I was the only one who didn't give in to him," and this is true, which reveals her obstinate nature. Moreover, what is more alarming is the speed at which Mrs. Birling recovers after the inspector leaves exposes a total lack of conscience. Mrs. Birling is proud of her upper-class status and has no compassion for or any understanding of people in a less fortunate position. She is the complete opposite of her daughter, and this stark contrast is intentional on the part of Priestley because he wanted the audience to dislike Mrs. Birling and her outdated, arrogant attitude.